Hi, this is Elizabeth Gearhart. I'm here with Chad Blecker of New Jersey Home Modification Services, and he's going to tell his story and then tell you how he can help you. So, hi, Chad.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Um, Hi, everybody. I'd love to tell you a story. Um, when my mother was 43 years old, she was deemed terminally ill. And I'm starting out with a big whopper, but it's a story of hope because it changed my entire family's trajectory. My mom at 43 had blood disease and heart disease, and they gave her 3 to 6 months to live, and she lived for 7 years. She lived that way with home care and hospice. And our family understood and went through that process. It changed my entire family's trajectory. My father had opened up a home care company. My sister jumped right in, my brother jumped in, and then I jumped in. And for the last 15 years, I've functioned as a case manager, helping seniors create sustainability and live very safe lives, very independent lives. The pandemic has hit, things changed in our business, and some challenges came up. At the beginning of my career, I spent the first 14 years of my world building furniture, doing architectural millwork, and project managing construction. Um, so what I've done is I've taken my two worlds. I took my construction world and I put it together with all the case management, and I opened up New Jersey Home Modification Services. And what I do today is I provide all the specialty equipment. We do assessment-based modifications. And what that means is that we look at the person and what the individual's challenges are and the barriers in their home. And then we evaluate their home and we come up with very real solutions that enable them to live the way they want, with accessibility and to create a flow so that they can be independent. And what that looks like is it comes in the form of stair lifts and ramps and ceiling lifts and all kinds of bathroom modifications and kitchen modifications. Um, but when you're looking through a lens of what challenges people are dealing with, when you evaluate someone's home, it's not about the standards. It's about that person living in their home independently. Or if they have help, either way, we're enabling them to stay at home or to stay wherever they are on their terms.
Excellent. And you and I were talking before that people are going home for the holidays typically, and even some this year, and they're shocked at what they see sometimes when they go to visit an elderly relative. So, you have put a special form on your website to help with that.
Absolutely. So Elizabeth, what happens every single year for the last like 16 years is that to your point, people go and they see their mom, they see their dad, and if it's just a month, this year we're seeing it more so than ever because people have been isolated. And so I have a form on my website, and what you can click on, it's a self-assessment, and it'll take you through a dozen questions that'll just help you kind of dial in to what needs may be there. It has solutions and so forth. And, it'll give you an idea. It'll email you all the answers, and then we can have a dynamic conversation and talk about what things we can do to make adjustments to your loved ones' homes. Some of them are very easy and they're very small, little things that can make a huge difference. And then we have the larger scale things such as stair lifts and ceiling lifts and all that neat stuff.
So, how does a person get started with you?
It's a phone call. It's as easy as that. You can text me, call me, email me, send up smoke signals, whatever works. I'm available all the time, and it's as simple as a conversation. There's no commitments, and then once we understand what's happening, we can take the next step, whether it's a home assessment, a home evaluation, and then we begin the work from there.
So, how does the home evaluation work? I'm assuming that you used to go to people's homes, but now maybe you're doing more through Zoom tours or something.
You know what? It's a gentle mix, actually. It's been neat because when I work with a lot of the, kids have all the tech. And so we can do a FaceTime or a Zoom, and we can actually walk through the house and I can look at different troubled areas. It's kind of neat that way. And that starts the great conversation. How do we create this safety for your loved ones? We can get a lot of ideas and do a lot of conversations through the technology. But I'll be very honest with you. If we're going to actually go and put in a stair lift and so forth, my technology is such where we have to come in and do photo surveys and things of that nature. So we do come to the house, and I will come to a home if the technology is not available. I'm happy to go there and assess the home and meet people, because that's what we're doing.
Right. I mean, that's typical. For instance, I don't know, I had to have my sprinklers turned off and flushed. the guy had to come into my basement. He wore a mask, so I think that kind of thing has to keep happening throughout the pandemic. As long as people wear masks, it's probably fine. Um,
We
so
do. We take that very seriously. So what we've been doing is full PPE, masks, gloves. But once we go into the home, what's really neat is a lot of times we're contained to an area, so we can plastic things off, and we can work a little more comfortably. If we're in a bathroom, we just seal the bathroom off from everywhere else, and we can operate in a way that the dust doesn't get to the family, and then obviously the COVID exposure is minimized to next to null.
So, how much does it cost? Say, like you want to put in a ramp for somebody. What's a typical price for maybe an outdoor ramp to the front door?
Okay, so there's a lot of different cost factors that go into that, and what happens with that is usually people go from anywhere. I'll give you more of a range because a ramp is an interesting one, because the more ramp that we need, the more expensive it is. It's hard to generalize that. Usually people go from, most assessment and most modifications go from roughly $1,000 upwards of 30,000, depending on what they need. A stair lift could go from 3,000 to 12,000, depending on what their needs are. Ramps, the same kind of a thing. Ramps won't go quite as expensive, but it's really about creating a plan, and it's never just one item. It's always a bunch of different things that you put in, and in general, people can get that done relatively inexpensively. And there's also pair sources as well. So that's why we have to have a conversation. There's long-term care insurance. If people have that, not most of the time, there's a clause in all the policies, and the policies have been different all through the years, that actually pay for modifications to your home. And the policies go from anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000 worth of modifications.
Wow, that's awesome. So, when do you get those policies? Can you get them anytime?
Well, long-term care policies have changed so much over the years. Yeah, I work with a lot of professionals that I could guide guide families to. What we're finding right now is that the seniors, they either have long-term care or they don't, but their kids see what the costs are and they go, and they're the ones who are like, oh my goodness, I can't have my kids go through this. So I'm always guiding families in that direction for sure.
That's great. So, you not only tell them what they need, help build it out for them, you also try to help them find ways to pay for it too.
Oh, absolutely. And here's a caveat. That's why the conversation is so important, because, for instance, long-term care insurance in general will only pay one lump sum, and if, for instance, I had a gentleman who had Parkinson's, and he totally qualifies through his long-term care policy for a stair lift, but he's still ambulatory. So if he didn't have a policy, it would probably make sense for him just in the interim to have a second handrail. But with a pair source, with him doing his bathroom and other items, it made sense to include the stair lift because it was approved and he's been paying for his policy for so long. So knowing what's needed and when, and if you have insurance, is very important.
So, for the man with Parkinson's, what were the features that you added to his home or changed in his home? Like, could you maybe walk me through a situation like that, like from start to finish?
Absolutely. So when I look at a home, I'm looking at accessibility. How do you get in and out? And whether that's a ramp or, some people have a garage where you have a few steps, but they can't get up the stairs. So we have a small stair lift. There's different things like that, but accessibility is key. And then once you get into the home, then you have to look at the flow. Where does this individual spend the most amount of their time, and how do they traverse their home? And so when we look at that, that's how we start to plan. So this gentleman specifically, he could have used two handrails because he still had upper body strength, but that was waning. So with him, we had a ramp that brought him inside, because when he does go out and he gets fatigued, having that wheelchair and him knowing that wheelchair is going to be needed in the future was a perfect situation, even though he still has the ability to walk. So that's set off to the side of the home. So he's set there. Once you get him inside, well, now the stair lift is what we put in to get him up the steps, and his bathroom needed some work. His bathroom was an easy one though. He had a high tub with the bifold doors, just like so many people do. And we removed it. We put a curbless shower in. We put a high toilet in, put some grab bars in very strategic spots. He's one of those gentlemen who likes to stand at the sink and shave, but now that he's progressed and he's declined a bit, he needs something to lean on. So we put handles off the side of the wall so he could actually hold on. So it's really curtailed to what people need. In his bedroom, he only needed a couple of items. He needed a bar on the side of his bed. I'm sorry. And that was really it. Oh, and he has a recliner there. That's a sit to stand recliner as well.
Okay, so about how much did all that cost?
He was at about $18,000.
So that's, and the insurance covered it, as you said. So that's not really too bad for getting a ramp and a stair lift and bars to help you up. So, and
That's right.
all the bathroom work. So, I mean, if people are thinking about this, and I think it's going to cost too much, it's probably worth it for quality of life going forward, right?
Absolutely. Because what's the alternative? I mean, your alternative is you have a facility, you know, you can go to an assisted living, you can go to a long-term care facility, a nursing home. And that may work for some people. That may be the perfect option. But I know a lot of folks want to stay home, especially right now. And so that's what we're trying to enable people to do. And the other thing that comes into play here is also people's spirit. We have to nurture people's spirit. You know, when people are declining, it's a very depressing, difficult thing for people to go through. So I don't believe that it's all about the modifications. A lot of time it's about giving people their independence back and making them feel like they're the champion of their own story, the author of their own story.
I found that with my in-laws, especially as they got older, and there were things like driving they shouldn't have been doing. It was so hard for them to give that up. And because you give up every little thing you give up some freedom. And they lived in their own home. They didn't want to move out of their home.
That's
And
right.
yeah, so I can understand. I mean, I'm not going to want to move out of my home probably when I get to that point. Um, so I guess one more question on the financial piece. Will banks loan the money for this? If somebody needs 20,000 to do this, will they loan them the money for that?
That's a great question. And of course, there's tons of construction loans available. There's home equity loans. There's so many different ways to pay for this. There are people who want real high-end work done in their bathrooms, and they want them to look gorgeous when we're done, and they don't want them to look like they've been like bariatric or geriatric. They don't want to know. They don't want to see that. And so what we've done is we have lots of products that look like towel racks, but they're grab bars and they can bear weight, and it's great options for people. The other thing to know, I think this is important also, is that some people have temporary needs and some people have permanent needs. And we can cater to both of those. So if you're doing a bathroom, let's make it look beautiful. Let's make it make sense for you and be as functional as possible for your current conditions.
And then I guess as a homeowner, I'm just kind of thinking this. When you go to sell your house, does that help or hurt, or does it not matter? Or
actually, no, that's a great point. So it really depends on the specific situation. Everything that we put in can be taken out. And that's something that I do highlight with people, because I have, there's a big permutation. A lot of people are like, I want my mom home. She's coming out of rehab. She needs to be with me. And we'll modify their homes because they know that their mother's going to be with them for, 6 months to a year, but they also don't want it to be a permanent change. So we do it in a way that we can take it out very easily and put the house back together. But when we're doing bathrooms and so forth, I try to design that in a facet, in a way where it's beautiful forever. It's timeless. You don't have to pull the bars out because they're functional and they're actually towel racks. However, they're really grab bars and no one knows the difference. So you try to make things make sense. And if you have a curbless shower, that doesn't change anything in the resale of your house.
right. Those are nice. So it's New Jersey Home Modifications, and it's njhomemod.com, right? No.
Yes.
Yes, njhomemods.com. So do you travel outside of New Jersey?
I do. I actually live in Pennsylvania, believe it or not. I've been commuting into New Jersey for years and years and years. But yes, we do work in Pennsylvania. We do work in New Jersey. Those are the two basic states that we work in. I have gone to New York a couple of times.
Okay. So are you planning to expand any further than New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York?
I don't know. I'm not sure. There's so much need right where I am that at some point that may be on the charts. But right now, I'm trying to help everyone in the tri-state area. I'm trying to help the people right here with us, right here in our hometown.
Great. Well, there is a lot of need, I'm sure. And I think it's a wonderful service you're doing because as you get older and you've lived a full life and you see kind of some of that slipping away, it's really hard to give that up. And if you can stay in your own home, that's huge if that's what you want, right?
That's, I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, if people can champion their life and live on their terms,
Mhm.
it's a good thing. And if that means going to an assisted living and moving in there for the socialization and all the other great benefits that are there, that's fabulous. If you want to stay home, give me a call. I'll help you do that.
So I do want to just like revisit one point that we kind of glossed over. Um, this isn't just for elderly people.
Oh
Let's
my
you
goodness,
have,
no.
I don't know, some nasty operation and you need something on the main floor that works for you. You can't do stairs for 6 months. So it could be for anybody that has any sort of medical issue at any time, temporary or permanent.
That's 100% true. And what's really interesting is that for the last 15 years, I've spent all this time working with older adults and seniors and so forth. And when I opened up this company, immediately it became very apparent because there's so many people who have special needs, children. It really just keeps going and going and going. And I've had probably the most incredible dynamic conversations with younger people who have special needs, who have cerebral palsy, who have muscular dystrophy, who are functioning with things that are really tough. And you know what? They're just like you and me. They have challenges. And if you can empower them, they feel really strong about it. They feel good.
Yeah. Being able to get up those stairs by yourself somehow, not having to rely on another person to move you around, like that's
So
huge.
true.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Is there anything else that we need to know about your company?
Yes, you can contact me at any time, and I'm always happy to have a conversation. And it costs nothing to understand what kind of options there are. There's no charges to talk and understand what your needs, how your needs can be met.
Excellent. Well, this has been a great conversation. Thank you, Chad.
Oh, Elizabeth, thank you so much. I'm so grateful.